Stop everything you're doing right now because what I'm about to reveal will absolutely blow your mind. 5. Women who survived Jeffrey Epstein's abuse will sit in the House chamber on Tuesday night and watch President Donald Trump deliver the State of the Union address. These survivors are not there by accident. They are there as official guests of Democratic members of Congress. Senator Chuck Schumer is hosting one. Representative Jamie Raskin is hosting two. Representative Emily Randall is hosting another. And Representative Teresa Leger Fernandez is bringing one more. This is not a coincidence. This is a political statement. Democrats are putting Epstein survivors in the room while Trump speaks to the nation. And Trump will have to stand at that podium knowing that women who were trafficked by his former friend Jeffrey Epstein are sitting in the audience watching him. I have the names of the survivors who are attending. I have which members of Congress invited them. I have the timeline of Trump's relationship with Epstein. And I have why Democrats are doing this now. This is not just about the State of the Union. This is about accountability, and it is happening in 4 days. Comment right now if you think Trump should have to face Epstein survivors in person. Let me start with who these survivors are, because their stories matter. CNN confirmed on February 20th that at least 5 Epstein survivors plan to attend the State of the Union as guests of members of Congress. Dani Bensky will attend as the guest of Senator Chuck Schumer of New York. Schumer is the Senate Minority Leader. He is the highest-ranking Democrat in the Senate, and he is using one of his guest tickets to bring an Epstein survivor to the State of the Union. Sharlene Rochard will attend as the guest of Representative Emily Randall of Washington. Liz Stein will attend as the guest of Representative Teresa Leger Fernandez of New Mexico. Sky Roberts and Amanda Roberts will attend as the guests of Representative Jamie Raskin of Maryland and Representative Suhas Subramanyam of Virginia. These are real people. These are women who were abused by Jeffrey Epstein when they were teenagers. And on Tuesday night, they will be sitting in the House chamber while the President of the United States delivers his annual address to Congress. They will be in the room, and Trump will know it. Hit subscribe right now because the State of the Union is in 4 days, and this is the most important political moment of the year. Now let me show you why Democrats are doing this, because this is not random. The State of the Union is one of the most watched political events of the year. Tens of millions of Americans will tune in to watch Trump's speech. Members of Congress are allowed to bring guests. And traditionally, members use those guest tickets to highlight issues they care about. For example, during past State of the Union addresses, Democrats have brought DACA recipients to highlight immigration policy. They have brought gun violence survivors to highlight gun control. They have brought healthcare patients to highlight the Affordable Care Act. The guests are chosen to send a message. This year, Democrats are sending a very clear message. Jeffrey Epstein's crimes are not going away. The survivors are not going away. And Donald Trump's connection to Epstein is not going away. By bringing Epstein survivors to the State of the Union, Democrats are forcing the issue into the national spotlight at the exact moment when Trump is trying to project strength and leadership. Drop a comment if you think this is the right way to hold Trump accountable. Now let me show you the timeline of Trump's relationship with Epstein because context matters. Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends for years. There are photos of them together at parties in the 1990s and early 2000s. There are quotes from Trump calling Epstein a terrific guy and joking that Epstein likes women on the younger side. Trump has said he had a falling out with Epstein in the mid-2000s and cut ties with him. But the Epstein files that were released by the Justice Department in January show that Trump's name appears in multiple documents. A phone call from 2006 was revealed where someone, possibly Trump, called the Palm Beach Police Department and said about Epstein, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Trump has denied any wrongdoing. He has said he was not close with Epstein and barely knew him, but the documentary evidence contradicts that. Photos, witness statements, and flight logs all show that Trump and Epstein socialized together. And survivors like Virginia Giuffre have said publicly that they saw Trump at Epstein's properties. Trump has never been accused of a crime related to Epstein. But his association with Epstein is documented, and Democrats are using the State of the Union to remind everyone of that association. Share this video if you think Trump needs to answer more questions about his relationship with Epstein. Now let me show you what the survivors themselves have said, because they are not silent. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, has been vocal for years about what happened to her. She was trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell starting when she was 17 years old. She has said in court filings that she was forced to have sex with powerful men, including Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew was arrested last week in the United Kingdom on charges related to the Epstein case. Giuffre has also said she saw Donald Trump at Epstein's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Trump has denied this, but Giuffre's testimony is part of the public record. Other survivors have shared their stories as well. The Epstein files released in January included victim impact statements from dozens of women who were abused by Epstein. Many of them were teenagers when the abuse happened. Many of them were recruited by Maxwell or other associates of Epstein, and many of them have spent years fighting for justice. Some of them testified at Epstein's trials, some of them testified at Maxwell's trial, and now some of them will be sitting in the House chamber on Tuesday night as official guests of the United States Congress. Comment right now if you think every survivor of Epstein should be given a platform to tell their story. Now let me show you the political calculation Democrats are making, because this is strategic. The State of the Union is Trump's chance to reset his presidency. His approval rating is at 38%. Democrats are leading in the generic ballot by 6 points. The midterm elections are 9 months away, and Trump is facing multiple crises. The Supreme Court just struck down his tariffs, the government is partially shut down, and he is on the brink of war with Iran. Trump needs the State of the Union to go well. He needs to look presidential. He needs to project competence and leadership. Democrats are trying to sabotage that. By bringing Epstein survivors to the State of the Union, Democrats are creating a visual that will dominate the news coverage. Every camera in the chamber will be looking for the survivors. Every reporter will be asking about them, and every analysis of Trump's speech will include a discussion of his ties to Epstein. Democrats are betting that the Epstein story will overshadow whatever Trump says in his speech. And based on the media attention this is already getting, they might be right. Hit subscribe because the State of the Union is in 4 days, and you need to see how this plays out. Now let me show you how Trump is likely to respond, because he cannot ignore this. Trump has a few options. He can acknowledge the survivors in his speech. He could say something like, "I condemn Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and I stand with the survivors." That would be the politically smart thing to do. It would neutralize the issue and make Democrats look petty for using survivors as political props. But Trump has never acknowledged his relationship with Epstein in any meaningful way. He has always downplayed it or denied it, so it is unlikely he will address it in the State of the Union. Trump's second option is to ignore the survivors entirely. He can give his speech and pretend they are not there. That is what he will probably do. But the problem with that strategy is that the media will not ignore them. Every news story about the State of the Union will mention the survivors. Every photo from the event will show them in the audience, and every post-speech analysis will ask why Trump did not acknowledge them. Trump's third option is to attack Democrats for bringing the survivors. He could accuse them of politicizing a tragedy. He could say they are using survivors as pawns, but that would backfire spectacularly. Attacking survivors of sexual abuse is never a good look, and it would keep the Epstein story in the headlines for days. Drop a comment if you think Trump is going to pretend the survivors are not in the room. Now let me show you what Republicans are saying, because they are not defending Trump on this. When asked about the Epstein survivors attending the State of the Union, most Republicans have said nothing. A few have said it is inappropriate to politicize the issue. But none of them are arguing that Trump has nothing to do with Epstein, because the evidence is public, the photos are public, the quotes are public, and the Epstein files are public. Republicans know they cannot defend Trump on this, so they are staying silent and hoping it goes away. But it is not going away. The House Oversight Committee is still investigating Epstein's associates. Bill and Hillary Clinton are scheduled to be deposed next week about their connections to Epstein. Les Wexner, the Ohio billionaire who gave Epstein millions of dollars, was deposed last week. Prince Andrew was arrested last week. The Epstein story is escalating, not fading, and Democrats are using the State of the Union to keep it in the spotlight. Share this video if you think the Epstein investigation needs to continue until everyone connected to him is held accountable. Now let me show you the broader context, because this is about more than just Trump. The State of the Union is a symbol of American democracy. It is the one night of the year when the President, the Congress, the Supreme Court, and the Cabinet all gather in one room. It is supposed to be a moment of unity, but in recent years it has become increasingly partisan. Democrats have used the State of the Union to protest Trump's policies. They have worn white to honor the women's suffrage movement. They have brought dreamers to highlight immigration. They have brought healthcare advocates to highlight the Affordable Care Act. And now they are bringing Epstein survivors to highlight sexual abuse and accountability. Republicans have done the same thing. They have brought law enforcement officers to highlight crime. They have brought veterans to highlight military strength. They have brought business owners to highlight tax cuts. The State of the Union guest list has become a political battlefield, and this year, Democrats are using it to remind the country that Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Comment right now if you think the State of the Union has become too political. Now let me show you what the survivors are hoping to achieve, because they are not just political props. These women have agency. They are choosing to attend the State of the Union. And they are doing it because they want accountability. Dani Bensky, who is attending as Senator Schumer's guest, has been vocal about the need for justice. She has said publicly that powerful men who enabled Epstein need to be held accountable. She has said the Justice Department needs to investigate everyone who was connected to Epstein, not just Epstein himself, and by attending the State of the Union, she is putting herself in the same room as a man who was photographed with Epstein dozens of times. That takes courage. These survivors have spent years healing from trauma. They have spent years fighting for justice. And now they are walking into the most high-profile political event of the year to make a statement. We are here, we are not going away, and we will not let you forget what Jeffrey Epstein did. Subscribe right now because this is one of the most powerful moments in the Epstein story, and it is happening in 4 days. Now let me show you the legal implications because the Epstein investigation is still ongoing. The Justice Department has released over 3 million pages of documents related to Epstein, but there are still questions about who enabled him, who funded him, and who participated in his crimes. The House Oversight Committee is conducting its own investigation, and that investigation is expanding. In the past month, the committee has deposed Les Wexner, Ghislaine Maxwell, and other associates of Epstein. Next week, the committee will depose Bill and Hillary Clinton. And according to sources, there are more depositions coming. The survivors attending the State of the Union are part of this broader push for accountability. They are reminding the country that this is not ancient history, this is not a closed case. There are still powerful people who have not been held accountable. And there are still victims who are waiting for justice. Drop a comment if you think the Epstein investigation should include everyone who was connected to him, no matter how powerful. Now let me show you the media strategy, because Democrats know exactly what they are doing. The State of the Union is one of the most covered events of the year. Every major news network will broadcast it live. Every newspaper will write about it. Every political analyst will dissect it. And by bringing Epstein survivors, Democrats are guaranteeing that the Epstein story will be part of that coverage. Even if Trump does not mention Epstein in his speech, the media will. Even if Republicans do not talk about it, the media will. Because the visual of survivors sitting in the audience while Trump speaks is too powerful to ignore. And that is the point. Democrats are not trying to get Trump to admit his relationship with Epstein. They know he will not. They are trying to keep the story alive. They are trying to remind voters that Trump was friends with a convicted sex offender. And they are trying to create a contrast. Democrats standing with survivors, Trump standing alone. Share this video if you think this is the smartest political move Democrats have made all year. Now let me show you what happens after the State of the Union, because this is just the beginning. On Wednesday, February 26th, the day after the State of the Union, Hillary Clinton will be deposed by the House Oversight Committee about her knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein. On Thursday, February 27th, Bill Clinton will be deposed. Both depositions will be filmed and transcribed, and both will eventually be released to the public. So the Epstein story will dominate the news cycle all week. The State of the Union on Tuesday, Hillary's deposition on Wednesday, Bill's deposition on Thursday. Democrats are creating a drumbeat of Epstein coverage that will be impossible to ignore. And Trump will be at the center of it. He will give his State of the Union speech with survivors in the room. Then the next day, the media will cover Hillary's deposition. Then the next day, they will cover Bill's deposition. And every single story will mention Trump's connection to Epstein. This is political warfare, and Democrats are executing it perfectly. Comment right now if you think Democrats are finally holding Trump accountable for his past. Now let me show you the constitutional question, because this raises issues about the separation of powers. The State of the Union is a constitutional requirement. Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution says the President shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the State of the Union. It is not optional. Trump has to give this speech. And by bringing Epstein survivors, Democrats are forcing Trump into a situation where he cannot escape his past. He has to stand in that chamber, he has to deliver that speech, and he has to do it knowing that survivors of his former friends' crimes are watching him. Some people will say this is unfair. They will say Trump has never been accused of a crime. They will say he is being punished for someone else's actions. But Democrats would argue that association matters. If you are friends with a sex trafficker, if you socialize with him, if you say nice things about him in public, then you should be held accountable when that person's crimes are exposed. And the State of the Union is the perfect venue to send that message. Hit subscribe because the State of the Union is in 4 days, and this is going to be one of the most memorable political moments of the decade. Now let me show you the historical precedent, because using State of the Union guests to make political statements is not new. In 2018, Democrats brought Dreamers to protest Trump's immigration policies. In 2020, Speaker Nancy Pelosi famously ripped up a copy of Trump's speech on live television. In 2022, President Biden invited the Ukrainian ambassador to highlight the war in Ukraine. The State of the Union has always been political theater, but bringing Epstein survivors takes it to a new level. Because this is not about policy, this is about character, this is about who the president associates with, and this is about whether powerful men should be held accountable for enabling abusers. The survivors attending the State of the Union are making a statement that will be remembered for years. They are saying, "We are not going away. We will not be silent, and we will not let you forget what Jeffrey Epstein did." That is a powerful message, and it is being delivered on the biggest political stage in America. Drop a comment if you think bringing Epstein survivors to the State of the Union is the most powerful protest in modern American history. Now here's what happens on Tuesday night. President Trump will walk into the House chamber. He will shake hands with members of Congress. He will take his place at the podium. And somewhere in that audience, sitting as official guests of Democratic members of Congress, will be 5 women who survived Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. Trump will deliver his speech. He will talk about the economy, immigration, foreign policy, and his accomplishments. But the cameras will cut to those survivors. The reporters will write about them. And the next day, the headlines will not be about Trump's speech. They will be about the survivors in the room. That is what Democrats are counting on. And based on the media coverage this is already getting, it is working. The State of the Union is supposed to be Trump's moment, but Democrats are turning it into an accountability moment for Epstein's enablers. And Trump is going to have to stand there and take it. Subscribe, share, and comment, because the State of the Union is in 4 days, and this is the most important political event of the year. The survivors are ready, the cameras are ready, and the country is watching.